You're listening to the Platte River Bard.
Hello, and welcome to the Platte River Bard. This is Chris Berger.
And I'm Sherry Berger.
And we are here today in Lincoln with our friend Fred Ohles. Fred!
Yay!
Hello.
It's good to talk to you on the show.
Thank you.
I was hoping to maybe talk to you before First Flight because, of course, I got to direct your piece for First Flight this last year. And I had a great time, and it was a good First Flight festival, and I was kind of hoping to get you on, and I didn't end up promoting my thing at all, as usual.
But thank you for doing that good directing, Chris.
No, it was a fun piece, and it was a good First Flight, and it's nice to be able to actually talk with you. It's good to see you again.
Yeah.
Thank you, likewise.
And let's talk a little bit about that piece. It was a 10-minute play for First Flight Festival.
Yes, Hunter Gatherer
Yeah.
is what it was called.
And that's something that you had entered in and got chosen to be part of the festival.
I did,
right?
and it was based on a personal experience of mine. I don't recall whether we talked about this.
I don't think we actually did.
Or
no.
not. Once a year, many of the social service agencies in Lincoln open up Pinnacle Bank Arena to provide services to people who are homeless and at risk of homelessness.
Okay.
And I had heard talk of that event, and I was studying the history of people doing good things in Lincoln for other people, and I decided to spend a day as a navigator for homeless people at that one-day event. And I told the organizers I would also be observing because of this study I was doing of philanthropy in Lincoln. So the first person I helped with navigation at that event, that was in October 2024, was a man who at our first meeting each other, as he came in the door, the first thing he said to me was, "I have no friends." It was very sad. I have no friends, and my things were stolen, and my dog was killed, and it was just, I have no friends. And we spent more than 3 hours together, which I hadn't anticipated, and got to know each other a little bit, first name, and a sad story. Well, 2 weeks later, I was here at Bennett Martin Library, and it was lunchtime, and I decided to get in my steps and get lunch. Mm-hmm. And so I'm walking around downtown, and as I come south on 14th Street and am turning right onto P, that's the intersection in Hunter and Gatherer.
Oh, yes, it is.
There he is. The man I had served as navigator with his bags, sitting on the bench outside the chicken restaurant. And I sat down and talked with him a bit, and then said, "Have you had lunch?" "No." I said, "Well, come on, we're going in the chicken restaurant together, Raisin Cane's, little promo for them."
There you go.
And so we had lunch together, and I've never seen him again in my life.
Oh.
Yeah, and I hope he's well. But that experience, and then being presented with different ballot signature opportunities when elections are coming up, and will you sign this petition, that petition? I put those two ideas together and thought to myself, if two people who each are seeking something both occupy the same street corner downtown, I'll bet you it'll seem quite crowded. I wonder what would happen. And that's where that little play came from.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting, one of the things in the play was basically bringing out the idea that if you don't have an address, you don't even get a say in a petition.
Right.
So it's not like you get a say in society that affects you if you're unable to work. So.
Right, and that
or
was
be housed.
That was a similar case for this this man I tried to help. So he had been robbed while he was out on the street.
Yeah.
And so among the things he didn't have anymore were his ID and his bank card, right? And without his ID and his bank card, he couldn't enter the federal building in order to ask for new ID.
Yes.
Right. So you get into these circular situations without an exit.
Yeah.
And I was trying to convey a bit of that. And then the other thing that Chris and the actors picked up on really well was that I was writing a play in which the homeless person was more articulate than the person collecting ballot signatures. I wanted to have an upside-down kind of dialogue.
Yeah. And they honestly were after essentially kind of the same thing. I mean, it wasn't like, the survey taker was anti-homeless or anything. She was sympathetic to the homeless person.
Yes.
But almost clueless in her I guess execution of really what she was trying to do and what she was trying to say, and just kind of, I mean, her heart was in the right place. I guess that's what you could say about the survey taker.
And her words were nowhere near the right place.
No, right? They were not. And her words reflected where she had come from. It's sort of, her world, where she had come from, whereas the homeless person was currently living it.
Where she was taught to kind of ignore. You don't see them. You don't see their face really. You don't really.
Yes, and
acknowledge
and some cliche kind of things that come with I hate to use the term, but sort of social justice warrior types who their hearts are in the right place, but their execution is lousy. It's like, well, you tried, but you messed that up. That's not so great.
Well, that was my first venture with First Flight, and I was honored to be included. So I'm going to try again.
Yeah,
I've got another short piece that in the Angels Playwriting Collective, we had a reading of it a couple months ago, and I'm going to see where I might go with that one.
That's great.
Thank you.
And this is something that you've chosen post-retirement, pretty much, right? To write about?
Yes, and to write drama, which any of my friends in theater said to me pretty clearly when I started into this. You'd be a lot better off. You'd have an easier time if. How about poetry or novels or short stories? Because really, only two things can happen at any moment in drama, right? A word comes out or a gesture is made. There's really nothing else, and so it all has to be transmitted somehow through one of or both of those two little pieces of life. But I love it, and the first play I wrote, Sherry, there's a scene in that play that I could only imagine on a stage. And so everything grew out of that moment that had to be people on a stage being watched by other people.
So were the people around you, after you retired from being the president of Wesleyan University,
Nebraska Wesleyan,
Nebraska Wesleyan, were they surprised at all that you wanted to go into playwriting?
Well, they were probably no more surprised than I was. I mean, it grabbed hold of me, and a friend of mine in Minnesota, a retired English professor, gave me a challenge. So I started the work on the first play, Drawn Back, in the summer of 2019, and my friend Jonathan said, well, you're going to be up here in Minnesota at Christmas, and it's only August now, so let's have a reading. I thought, oh my gosh, 4 or 5 months, is such a thing possible? And the answer turned out to be yes, but it's not very pretty.
Oh.
And it was just with friends,
Sure.
but that was the first step, and then I couldn't let it go.
I'm going to say, was it the first time you got to hear it
Yes.
out loud?
Yes, except, of course, the voice in my head.
Exactly. Yeah.
So one of the things and when I say voice in my head, one of the things I experienced right away when I started this kind of writing is that as I'm thinking the lines, it's as if the scene is playing in some space in my head. I see the people moving around, and I see their mouths moving, and I hear the words in my imagination.
Yeah. That's good.
That came across as I was reading
a really good book.
Well, yes, and that came across as I was reading some of the scenes, because you are, at least in this play, a playwright that does give some fairly detailed stage direction in certain places, and some playwrights do, and some playwrights don't. Some plays are completely stripped down, and it's just the words, and you figure out how to do this. He's not going to write your stage direction for you. And it was clear that there was a definite visualization that had happened in certain scenes, especially with some of them, I thought, where there was more than one conversation sort of going on and overlapping with other characters coming and going and doing things and really carrying two conversations at once. Yeah, through a couple of parts, and I think that was obvious that you visualized quite a bit of this. And by the way, the name of the play that we're talking about is Drawn Back, which I just got done reading.
We did.
Which I really enjoyed.
Thank you.
I don't know how much you want me to say about it, but neat.
You can say all you want.
Okay, well, the discovery
it's not being
process.
produced yet.
Okay, yes,
Yeah.
no, it has yet to be produced. Just throwing that out there.
Yes. This play is available.
The discovery process as a reader reading through this, because it starts out, like, okay, who are these characters? You're sort of starting to get to know, okay, the relationships and who's this and who's that, and little things start to come out. And at some point, one of the characters, Blanche, at one point you start to realize that you might know who Blanche is outside of the context of this play. You probably have heard of Blanche, even though you may not think you have heard of Blanche.
Right.
And
she was played famously.
who's the actress?
Estelle Parsons.
That's right.
Yeah.
Think of that today.
Yeah, and so there's a real history.
Yeah.
Which I.
And then, what drew you to this specific? I mean,
So it's.
how did you come to this?
Yeah. That's the necessary question.
It's
for
such a
sure.
neat idea.
And I stumbled upon it, and so if I may, I'll tell
Please-
about this
please
this
do.
road
Please do.
trip through Iowa.
Okay.
Yeah. So the moment in Iowa in the play is halfway through it. The first act
Okay.
has just ended. As the second act opens,
Right.
some of the characters are in Iowa.
Right.
Because there's this kind of time separation and spatial separation going on. Somebody is in a dream. Blanche is in a dream, and she's watching something that happened in her past in Iowa.
Right.
Okay, so 4 of us from Nebraska Wesleyan went to a workshop in the Quad Cities, and the Quad Cities workshop people only put us up in the hotel for this day-and-a-half workshop one night. So when the workshop was done in the middle of the afternoon, we had nothing to do.
Nothing to go back
except head back to Lincoln, Nebraska. So we were just past Des Moines, and it was supper time. And I looked on the internet and found that in Dexter, Iowa, the tavern there claimed to have Iowa's best burger.
Okay.
So we stopped at the tavern in Dexter, Iowa. It's a one block downtown. The grain elevator is the biggest structure
in town.
It's it's a good, prosperous agricultural community, and we had our burgers and whatever else, and went home. And then I thought, Dexter, Iowa. I wonder what it's known for.
Yeah. Apparently not for the best burger.
The burgers were fine, but even more notable was that for 1 week in July of 1933, the Barrow Gang camped outside of Dexter, Iowa, at an abandoned amusement park.
Neat.
That grabbed me because in college I worked at an amusement park.
Oh, did you really? Okay.
2 summers. I ran the Big Eli 16 Ferris wheel.
Oh, wow.
And I still know how to load and unload it. The seats all have numbers, so I won't go long on this, but you load 1, 9, 13, 5, 7, 15, 3, and 11, and you've kept the wheel balanced. And then if there's enough of a line, you can load the evens, and I could do the same number magic with that.
And what city was this in?
That was at Geauga Lake Park in Aurora, Ohio.
Ohio.
You gotta make Geauga Lake this year. That was the TV ad.
Oh, my gosh.
So when I heard that the gang had camped out
at this
an
abandoned
amusement park,
park,
which had just gone, it was the Depression. It had just closed in April, and there it was July, and that's where they were camping. And so in 1933, with this overpowered Ford sedan that seats 6 people, a powerful car in those days, they're driving into town every day and ordering takeout meals as if it were 2023 instead of 1933.
Right.
At a restaurant, and taking china and cutlery out and returning it every day. Oh, wow. And this was weird.
Yeah.
And so people started talking to the sheriff.
Sure.
And a farmer nearby started finding bandages, bloody bandages, because some of the gang members had been shot up in Missouri. And so a posse came and attacked the Barrow Gang, otherwise known as Bonny and Clyde. And Bonny and Clyde got away with the 16-year-old kid, and 2 other people were left behind. So I imagined a woman later in her life who had had that experience, sitting on a 6-foot lifeguard chair, watching her past roll like a movie. And that's what got me going on Drawn Back.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Blanche is a friend of Bonny and Clyde, right?
Sister-in-law.
Sister-in-law.
Yes.
Yeah, to Clyde.
Yeah.
And so I have 4 members of the gang in my play. 2 of them only mentioned. Bonny and Clyde are only mentioned.
Right.
There was also W.D. Jones, a 16-year-old. They had picked up at a gas station, I don't know, Oklahoma, Missouri, somewhere.
Okay.
Who was with them. He didn't fit into my play. The play is fiction. It's just inspired by this piece. But so the Bonny and Clyde and the kid forded the the Snake River there, I think. They walked through the river, held up a farmer at gunpoint with a gun that had no more bullets in the chamber, and took the farmer's car and drove to Colorado and got away from there. But Blanche, my lead character, was captured. She was played by Estelle Parsons in in the Bonny and Clyde movie.
Yes.
Quite unfairly, I would say. So I've decided to correct the story.
Very good.
And it turns out that Blanche Barrow, who was married again after some years after that experience, she wrote an account of her time with the gangsters, put it in a box, and never looked at it again in her life. And it was found by the people taking care of her estate. It's a published book. A professor down in Texas had to correct the spelling, put in punctuation, add paragraphs. She only had pretty much a junior high education. So I read that as background, but then I set it aside and I wrote my own piece.
Sure.
And, things that appeared, like there's a poem that's in that book. I didn't use that poem. I don't have permission to do that. I wrote my own poem.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So all of that was inspiration from which I wrote a piece of fiction.
Interesting.
Okay, yeah. Maybe sort of the inspiration for her diary.
Yes, that's right.
That you said is fictional, but yeah, those papers that they found would be sort of maybe be the inspiration for
Indeed.
for the diary that Lisa, I believe,
the teenage girl next door,
the next door neighbor girl,
starts reading this diary, which Blanche's ornery 90-some-year-old mother returns to Blanche in a box.
Yes.
Which happens at the beginning of the play.
Yes.
Which sort of sets off the disputes about whether we should remember the past or not and how.
Yeah.
What you should take from it and what you should just leave. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in some ways, I think of it as a memory play.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think my professor from World Civ in Minnesota would have called it a slice of life.
Ah, thank you. I like that. Yes.
Well, and that seems to fit with, you said how she just wrote everything down, stuck it in a box, and put it away. It's almost like she did that. Put everything down. She remembered it one last time.
Yeah.
Now she doesn't have to remember it again. She puts it away.
Right. And
quite literally puts it away.
And then there's a new life.
Yeah.
So this young woman who had this trauma in Iowa when she was 22 was by that time on her second marriage already.
Okay.
She had been physically abused as a teen bride.
Okay.
And when she got hold of her life again, she married a GI and raised a son and had a fairly normal life, except that she kept having association with these other people who were various family members of the gang. Nothing in my play, as far as I know, ever really happened in her life, but it gave me a certain plausibility to string out a story.
Mm-hmm. And do you want to talk about how you think, some of the things that you've changed that you felt that were unfair to her?
Right. So, the Bonny and Clyde movie, which plays its own little role in my play. It's part of it's kind of the accelerant that gets a fire going. In people's minds. So I never saw the movie Bonny and Clyde when it came out.
Oh, did you not? Okay.
But once I started on this play, I knew that I had a responsibility to myself and to the creative process and to what people were going to get by watching my play. So I binge watched that movie twice in one afternoon after taking it out of the library, and forgot to go to an appointment with someone because I was stuck watching it on my television. Apologies, Lynn, that was some years ago, but there it was. That's what happened to me that day. And I thought, well, that's interesting. Estelle Parsons won an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress for that role, and she plays.
Did she?
She plays Blanche Barrow as a screaming, hysterical, out of control, a wild woman with a fairly minor part in the play.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the way this person was. It worked really well for a movie that it's an iconic film.
It is.
It's a nutso film because it has these chase scenes through hilly fields, and it has a little bit of love, which probably does more credit to Clyde Barrow than he ever deserved. The poor guy was a mess.
Yeah.
So classic movie, but they took lots of liberties. And Sherry, one thing that's really interesting to me is that the actor and producer of that movie, whose name is
Warren Beatty.
Warren Beatty went to her house in Texas, put a contract in front of her in about 1963, gave her $20,000. This is a very poor woman living in a trailer.
1963, 20 grand.
Yep. And she signed a paper saying, you can write about my life any way you want, and that's what he did.
Oh, okay.
And so there's one piece that's actually true to life. In my play and in life, she hated the movie.
I imagine she, I imagine she did. Wow. It was for Gene Hackman's first big movie.
Yes, that's right.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an all-star cast.
It is. I love Gene Hackman.
20,000 back then is like
Holy
now?
cow. $20,000 in 1963 has the same buying power as approximately $211,000
Oh, well.
Oh no, you're still good though.
Oh, well, multiply a few more times. Yeah, that's a bucket of money.
Yeah. What would you do with
he threw her a
$211,000?
bunch of money in '63.
She'd have to pay
Over
taxes on it, though.
almost 212 grand. She had one of those lives. She crossed paths with two very infamous, which are not just famous, but now I guess sort of infamous. Bonnie and Clyde are infamous people.
So I was in Dallas early in the process of developing the play, and I decided to go to the cemetery where Clyde is buried.
Oh.
Yeah. It's in a not very prosperous part of the city of Dallas now, and the gas station that Clyde's father operated, and the family lived in a couple rooms behind the office and the gas pumps. That gas station was still standing then.
Oh, wow.
And so this was maybe 8 years ago. It had been turned into something like a taco factory.
Oh.
But the building was still there. It's now been torn down. It's gone. So I drove by that building. I went to the cemetery, and it was locked up, fence and gate, and padlock and chain. But a person could easily step over the gate.
Okay, so it wasn't that high.
Which I did.
Okay, all right then.
The grass wasn't tended or anything.
Okay.
But as I walked in, over to the left, there was a scene like nothing else. There was one double grave that was spick and span, with candles, with toy soldiers, with upside-down beer bottles holding more candles, with pinwheels, with just all kinds of decorations. And that's the grave of Clyde Barrow and his brother Buck. So when the last scene of the movie, Bonnie and Clyde, occurred in life up in, I guess, in Louisiana, I think, where there was the posse, that the Texas Ranger who had made it his mission to go get them. And when Buck died, the older brother, when he died after this episode at the amusement park in Iowa, when he died and his body was brought back from Iowa to Dallas, the parents bought a double grave and put him in it. And when their friends asked them, "Why did you buy a double grave?" they said, "Because Clyde will be in here soon."
Yeah.
Wow, they knew.
Yeah. So when I visited that cemetery, there was a man and his maybe 12-year-old son who were the only other people there. The cemetery is only a couple of acres. It's not very big at all. And the father looked at me and he said, "After this, we're going to Oswald." And I thought, well, that's one way to look at these kinds of things in our history, and I choose a different way to look.
Interesting how one story takes you different places for your plays. Because you've written other plays.
I'm working on others.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
it takes
right.
you to different adventures, and you're like, okay, I need to go do this. I need to see the grave.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so 2 one-acts I'm working on now, also inspired by fairly specific experiences.
Okay.
One out of my family history, I have inherited 2 sets of letters from the 2 sides of my family, and I've decided that there are people in the past, not necessarily people I knew or knew very well, who had very interesting life experiences, and maybe I can throw them together. So I'm working on a play about 2 men and their foibles and how they learn about each other and perhaps help each other. And then I'm a big fan of the Midwestern diner. Breakfast at the diner.
Yes.
Is a favorite thing of mine. And so I'm working on a one-act imagining what happens in a very popular small-town Nebraska diner if one morning nobody comes in, not even for a cup of coffee. Oh. And what if the server is as chill and kind of well-practiced in yoga as anybody could be, while the manager and owner is solid type A.
Right.
Yeah.
And what if the calm of nobody coming in the door causes people to actually talk with each other and learn about each other when they never have before?
Yeah, for sure.
So that's something I'm working on. But in the case of Drawn Back, you're right, it was just this one burger that led me on a quest.
Yeah.
And as it turned out, I wrote the play from that moment at the campsite. I wrote it both back in time and forward in time.
Yeah. Did you always never this to be full length, or was this, or did you not set out for it to be anything and it was going to be whatever it was going to be?
So, yeah, I would say, Chris, it was overly full length. in early.
Oh, is this
early
trimmed
drafts.
down? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's now 90 minutes. I estimate.
Yeah, it was 93, 94 pages, something like that.
Yeah. There was a time when it was a 145-page script.
Oh my!
Yes, and so various wise readers observed to me that the entire history of the Barrow Gang did not need to be retold in conversations and didn't necessarily matter to what is happening to Blanche when she's 75 years old and widowed and
Sure.
trying to decide whether she wants to think hard about the past.
Yeah, does she want to
or not.
remember this stuff? And yeah,
Right.
because Lisa has questions.
Yes, and then, then there are even little things. Lisa and her friends have gone to an all-night gangster movie series at a drive-in in Dallas.
Yeah.
And I had to find out where the drive-in in Dallas is and how far it is from the cemetery, because the kids went to the cemetery after the last movie. At some points in the development of the play, I knew all kinds of things about where the kids had gone to a flea market and whether they had maybe gone to a motel for whatever reason. And a lot of that turned out not to have enough to do with the story, right?
Right.
So I actually like red ink pens. They're not very popular anymore, and teachers tend to use green or purple or whatever because it's
Right.
perceived to be gentler these days.
Right.
But
Right.
I take red pen to my own work.
Do you?
Because I will never not see it after I have marked it. So I work with hand. I handwrite a lot of
You
my
hand edit?
drafts
Yeah,
and the
okay.
edits. Oh yeah, I just the pages are bleeding red as I
That's good,
go
though.
through them. Yeah, and I had a friend. I actually did 2 rewrites of the play in 2025, and the first rewrite I took out 20 minutes and 2 characters.
Oh, wow.
And the second rewrite, a friend who's also an accomplished playwright had gone through it and suggested about 150 lines to be removed. I was shocked. I was stunned. And then when I looked in detail at the suggestions, a third of them were just plain right. Those words didn't need to be there. A third of them were a flashing yellow light to me. These words haven't conveyed quite what I wanted them to, and so I revised. And in a third of the cases or so, I was stubborn and said, no, that's part of my story.
Okay. Okay.
So in that case, I used red, yellow, and green highlighters to
Okay.
tell myself where I needed to go next.
Which ones? Yeah.
It's a process. And I believe, so for those of you who are actors and involved in the production sides of drama, that's a process too, right? What happens when you first do a read-through
Absolutely.
isn't everything that will...
No. And yeah, and when what you did in an audition, because sometimes you will actually read a piece from the play or that you're going to do during audition, and then you go and you do your first read through, and the first read through isn't how it's going to be. You can get a gauge, but that's just everybody's first impression, assuming that everyone is new to the material, that they haven't had any experience with the material before. Because I've seen things dramatically change. I've dramatically changed from my first readings, from what we ended up figuring out later on in certain plays that I've done, because it's just like, that initial idea wasn't, that doesn't work, and in that case, yes, it is a process, very much so, the hunter-gatherer that we did for
First Flight.
Underwent a bit of a minor change there. You added a bit, and so we had a bit of a process just for that, which was pretty neat.
Right.
Which is one of the great things about being able to work with the playwright.
Yeah, and
something brand new.
So on the revision point with Drawn Back, there's a young man from Lincoln, Mackenzie Davenport, who was reading it for me partway through its development, and we met one day for breakfast, and he pointed to 4 words, 1 line, at about 40 minutes in the first act, and he said, the act ends there. And I thought, oh my gosh, I've got 20 minutes more of what I think is meaningful action. But, he was a good reader and a thoughtful provider of feedback. And so I went back home and I thought, well, I can move 10 minutes into an early part, and I can strike out 5 minutes, and I'll create another really dramatic statement. And so I took it to him, had another breakfast, and Mackenzie looks at me and he points to the same spot and he says, I told you, those 4 words are where the first act ends. And at that point I surrendered and thought, oh, this young man, he's a third my age, he's right. And he had made the point, if those words are the last ones people hear when the lights go out, they're going to be back in time for Act 2.
Yeah.
That was his impression,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And he changed my mind in a really meaningful way, and it led me to a very substantial change in how I presented things.
And is that how you've kept?
Yes.
Is that how you kept it? So that okay.
Those words.
I liked how it was ended. Yeah. That was good. Yeah.
And then I had an italic on one of those 4 words. So this business of me putting in stage directions that you've mentioned, I had an italic, but at a reading of the play, the character playing Blanche put the emphasis on a different one of those 4 words, and I thought, oh, that's interesting, but I know what I mean, and so I put in the italics. Well, then another person who has done quite a bit of direction said to me, shook her finger at me and said, Fred, what do you think you're doing with those italics? There are 4 words. Any one of those 4 words could have the emphasis that drives the actor. So why are you trying to predict that, to limit that? And so the italics are gone.
Okay.
Some of us learn slowly, but thank goodness we learn.
You see plays that have that in that. You'll see scripts that'll have the authors will put their own emphasis on there and try to,
and
for
you'll
sure.
see none.
And then you have some that are just
none at all.
nothing. Yeah, exactly. No stage direction or anything.
And one director said to me about the stage directions, because I used to have a lot more in drawing.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Oh, it was terrible. just terrible. It was George Bernard Shaw kind of stuff.
I don't mind stage and production notes and stuff. I'm one of the people that don't mind if the author talks about his own stuff in the play, that and gives a background or whatever, even if it's just for the director or the actors. I like it.
Well, with this one director, it was Jack Parkhurst, who was on the faculty at Nebraska Wesleyan. Jack said, that's fine, Fred, you can put those things in there. We'll ignore them.
Yeah. See, and there's a lot of directors who will just flat out ignore all of that stuff. Like Christopher Walken with punctuation, right? He just goes through and he takes out all the punctuation. He writes out all of his lines without the punctuation.
Well, as somebody who's been thinking about, not in the super near future, but in the future, retiring, and thinking about what retirement might be like, I'm fascinated that you chose to leave the role that you were in when you retired to do this. Were you trying to write at all before you left?
Yes.
Nebraska
Were you
Wesleyan?
writing? Yeah.
Yes. So I've my name is on 3 books now. History was what I studied and taught and practiced at one time before being a dean and a president, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I wrote a study of political censorship in in Germany in the 1810s, 1820s, 1830s. That was a book. The Brothers Grimm figured in that book, so there was a little bit of kind of the creative side of writing grabbing my attention even then. One of the Brothers Grimm was a censor in that part of Germany, because they were, they only wrote their tales. They didn't actually write them. They recorded tales that they heard.
Yeah, they collected.
They collected them from taverns and things like that. But they were librarians, and one of them, as a librarian, was told by the local prince that he would help censor things that shouldn't be in print.
Wow.
And then my first teaching job was in Melbourne, Australia, and there was a German sociologist 120 years ago who visited Australia and went around taking common laboring jobs. So he worked as a sheep shearer, panning for gold in a harvester manufacturing plant, and which one am I? Oh, and in a coal mine. And he wrote a letter about back home to Germany about each of these experiences as a working man. He was known in the workplaces as German Bob. And so I translated those four. He called them letters. They were quite elaborate essays. I translated them from German into English, and they were published with an introduction that an expert on Australian history and I wrote together. And then my father was an education professor and had put together a biographical dictionary of American educators. And after he passed away, with my mother and with a friend who's a professor of education, we wrote a continuation volume, biographical dictionary of modern American educators, kind of updating the work that my dad had done. So I've written a book with my mom.
Wow.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And then some years ago, I guess this is 25 years ago now, as dean of a small college in Illinois, I entered a short story I wrote in a local contest and won the first prize.
Oh, there you go.
So this inclination to write is in my blood.
It's been there for a while,
and
yeah.
in what I love to do.
And you translated from German into English.
Yes.
You did the translation, so German is something you speak.
Ich
and
bin ja
write.
Deutschsprecher. I
Yes.
lived to do the study of political censorship. I lived in Germany for 2 years, and most of that
Nice.
time I lived on a pig farm outside of the city where the archive is. So the farmers with whom I lived, who I rented rooms for, but they were friends as well. They spoke the local dialect at home. I got so I could understand them, although I didn't speak that dialect. But so I would say a great joy in my life, Sherry, is that it's 50 years now since I lived in Germany, but the language still is alive in my head.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I wish I had learned more when I went to visit. I only visited for a few weeks, and I wish I had learned more so I knew the codes to the bathroom and that type of thing. So I wish I had learned, but it's beautiful. It's so beautiful over there.
Language is an amazing thing, and I'm drawn to conversation, which I think fits with my interest in playwriting, because dialogue and conversation are essential. And one of the things I've noticed about my own playwriting is that there really aren't any long speeches.
No.
It's back and forth.
Yeah, yes, and I'm going to say the dialogue, I think, is very natural. I think some people have a hard time. Well, and I know, and I've talked to people who say they have a hard time writing dialogue. It's like the hardest thing, they would rather write somebody who's trying to explain something to somebody or who's giving a speech or something rather than sort of naturalistic sort of dialogue, like two people in a diner or something. They're just like, oh my God, how do you make that sound like two people? Yeah.
And actually, part of the way, from my point of view, part of the way, Chris, that you make that sound natural is that you listen to the people in the next booth when you're in the diner.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The way we talk.
People watch. People listen. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
In a way, sure.
Yeah. I mean, it may be nosy, but it's part of art.
It's true.
Yeah.
That's funny.
No, and I think when we've talked to other playwrights, they've also really embraced hearing other people's stories. I remember we talked to one recently, and I said something, and he said, I'm going to use that.
Well,
just hearing life and hearing other people's stories.
Well, one of the things I was
you.
concerned about, Sherry, in writing this play, the principal characters are mostly women.
Yes.
And there are plenty of cases in life where the way women talk, and especially the way women converse with women, isn't like the way men converse with men. And so I had some trepidation about whether, I was going to have veracity in the voices. I was especially concerned about how does a 17-year-old girl talk in 1985?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I actually, early on, I attempted to write some of these characters in dialect, and thank goodness there were people who told me, take that out of there. If somebody wants to sound like a Texan, they'll take care of it.
Fair enough.
And yet people do have distinctive vocabularies, distinctive
Absolutely.
kind of and hum and, and ways of talking. So part of my effort was to make the voices distinctive enough that it's not just, the same caramel nut ice cream coming out of every voice.
Yeah. Everybody does not sound the same in this.
No,
Absolutely not. No. And there, there was a distinct difference, especially between the 17-year-old girl and everybody else, because most of the other characters, except for the younger versions that we see in that one part, everybody else is between 40 and 70?
Yes.
Yeah, so they're all older folks, but there's a distinct difference.
And the relationship between the voice and the ear is something I find really interesting. So having lived for a year and a half in Australia and having gone to a lot of theater during that time, and my wife Rosemary and I, who were friends, romancing then, a number of the plays we went to were American plays.
Okay.
Right?
Oh.
So Sam Shepard, Lanford Wilson.
Right.
And the Australians would play them in American dialect.
Would
right? They would. That seemed to be important to them.
Okay.
At least the performances that I saw and heard. And I thought they were very good, really very, very good. And it seemed to me that there was probably one person only in the theater who knew that they were Australian actors speaking American, and that was me. So there were these little slight things that maybe were just a tad exaggerated, but it was almost entirely true to the ear. Yeah. And the flip side of that was when I would listen to Americans on the radio, when I had only been hearing Australians day after day after day, Ted Kennedy on the radio sounded to me like an average American accent. I couldn't tell that the Boston thing,
Really?
it vanished from my ear.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
And interesting, because his accent was pretty darn heavy.
Yes. Yes. So it's all about how our ears
Wow.
are tuned, right? And that's why we depend on actors like you, Chris.
That's amazing.
Take care of these things, because
Yes.
those of us who are
Man.
only writing the lines
Yeah, only writing the lines.
can't cover that kind of thing. And I saw that with my short play last summer.
Mm-hmm.
You and the actors brought it to life. It was magical. Thank you.
It's so much fun, and especially being the first person to get to do stuff. That's so much fun, and being involved in that process. I've got to do it a couple of times now with First Flight, doing that, and also just being involved in things for the first time. I'm kind of addicted to it now, but yeah. And I like to do it. Well, and gosh, between Omaha and Lincoln, there are so many playwrights.
Yes.
And there's a lot of playwriting
That's great.
happening in this state.
Yeah, that's great.
I'm kind of shocked. There's just so much going on.
For sure.
It's something that, and eventually Sherry and I will do a podcast about this, but because Sherry and I are participating in our own theater company, and it's one of the things that we would like to get into,
Yeah.
is new, especially locally written stuff. Because
We've been so busy with everybody else's stuff, we didn't even do a podcast.
I
about
know
it,
we've been so busy talking about everybody's
So
stuff.
busy.
We suck at self promotion.
Yeah, that's gonna have to happen at some point. But yeah.
But and this is exactly the kind of this kind of stuff, these kind of plays are exactly the kind of thing that we love, and that this area just keeps producing. And it's nice to see, because I think Clay Fairstaff was the same way. Had a whole career and he goes, I retired, and I think I'll start
Yes,
writing now.
he did.
And now,
Right,
and
yeah.
it's like you and him, and then now you guys are just writing stuff all the time, and just producing all. I love it.
You guys probably even knew each other before you started playwriting.
We did. Yeah.
Did you?
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were both in the nonprofit world.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna say both
In
nonprofit,
different ways.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
for sure.
I would think it would be difficult, and I can understand where the challenge is to come up with the words that people would say. So in Nebraska, we say you guys,
Yeah.
in the South, they say you all in
Y'all,
different
yeah.
ways. In Tennessee, they say yuns.
Yeah.
It's like
Right.
a different word. Like you have to
Yeah.
remember. I can see how challenging that would be.
So I was at the end of my service at Nebraska Wesleyan, and the play was germinating in my head. And I went to one of those meetings where you have the frightful scene of 300 college presidents all in one room. So I talked with Jake Schrum, who had been president of Southwestern University in Georgetown, Texas, and then he had been president of Emory and Henry College in Virginia. And I said, Jake, I've got this. Blanche is in her 70s, and she's a woman without much education and not much in the way of resources, but she's a very self-respecting, proud, sensible person. And then there's this energetic, kind of over-the-top 17-year-old who helps her because Blanche's sight is impaired somewhat
Right.
significantly. And so this Lisa, whose mother has passed away, and it's a nice thing for the two of them to talk with each other. So how are they going to address each other? I asked Jake because he's from Texas.
Yeah.
He said the girl will always address her as Miss Blanche, so I overdid that for a while. Eventually, I had to cross out the Miss Blanche, Miss Blanche, Miss Blanche.
Oh, okay. She said too much.
Three
yeah.
times on a page.
Yeah.
But when she addresses her, or when she talks about her, she says, Miss Blanche wanted me to bring this back. And he said to the girl, the older woman will call her honey. And if it's something really endearing or emotional or a bit of concern or emphasis, it's honey child.
Okay.
So I put lots of that in at
You
first.
got a honey
and
child in there, yeah.
Now there's less of it in there, but it's a presence.
Yeah.
Because that seemed important to know how people treat each other, also how the mother and the son interact in the setting of this play. You know, the son he's 40-ish, his mother is 70-something. They have independent lives, but they are the only people in the immediate family left who have each other, and so I cared a lot about that relationship.
Well, I'm anxious for you to be able to put this play into production. So
Thank you.
I think it's really exciting that you've chosen this path and are continuing on in your adventures.
Absolutely. I got to tell you, whatever you were doing over there at Wesleyan, did a great job, because everybody that I've worked with that came out of that theater department over there has been a pleasure to work with.
Yeah,
They've all
for
been
sure.
great. So
Yeah.
I know. That's why I always look around to see who the Wesleyan kids are, because it's like, all right, well, they're going to be they're going to do a good job.
Thank you. We've got one of our alums heading up the Flatwater Shakespeare now.
Oh, really? Okay, excellent. Who's
that's
who's doing that?
Christian
yeah.
Plum?
That's no, it's Scott Shoemaker, right?
Oh, is Scott heading that up now?
Yeah.
I
Yep.
haven't met him. I think you have.
No, Scott. Scott, I worked with him. He's one of the Scotts in a China shop.
Oh.
He was the annoying next door neighbor,
Okay.
bro, with the wife.
Well, he played the dead farmer in.
And he
in
was
Pivot.
the farmer that died at the very first. That's right. He was in that.
And then he was the priest, and then he was the waiter.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. And he ended up. That's right, because he was the three different parts. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. That's right.
So one of our products.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, no, Scott's great.
And there's a bunch of others
Oh,
Scott's
who
yeah,
are
great.
for sure.
doing good things.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, always had a good time.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. We've had, when I was over, did so many productions at the Loft. So many Wesleyan kids come through there and do stuff here and there. And, oh, yeah, Wesleyan. And Kevin and I'd always notice every time. It's like, another Wesleyan kid. Excellent.
And I've always been really impressed with how many shows that the Wesleyan Theater does, because
Holy moly.
I follow some of the other colleges and they don't always do
Yeah.
that many shows in a season. So you guys are pulling it off to be able to do. And some of them are, I mean,
Yeah.
they're not simple productions.
No.
So, yeah.
We do all kinds of stuff over there.
Yeah.
And tons of stuff. Yeah. I remember we talked to a few of the kids over there, and they're like, yep, you just go.
There's always something going on.
Just hit the ground running and go, go, go. It's like, I know, that sounds awesome.
It's great, and it's a great opportunity for them to get experience. So.
Oh my God, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And that's the way to get it. Is just by it's by doing it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like with you doing, it's like with writing. You just have to. How many pieces can you get done? And you're doing stuff. You're writing the full length stuff here, and you're writing one act for this stuff, and the smaller 10-minute stuff for First Flight and play festivals and stuff like that. I guess one acts are huge. They weren't when I was younger. Unfortunately, when I was doing high school theater and all that, the whole one-act competition wasn't that big of a deal. But now, those things are massive. All the one-act, either competitions or just festivals, which is pretty cool. One-acts used to be kind of the exception. You used to kind of have to hunt for them.
Yeah, Shakespeare, after all, thought 5 acts was the magical number.
Imagine that.
And now, so for example, at the Nebraska Wesleyan Theater Department, they magically make a Shakespeare play into a 2-act performance in a way that works.
Yes. And I don't adapting something like that would be unbelievable. I saw that. I was looking. Cormac McCarthy has written a couple of plays, and one of them is a 5-act play. Speaking of 5 acts, and I remember looking it up on Wikipedia, and it said this rarely produced play.
Yeah.
Well, really, 5 acts, rarely produced? Oh, come on.
Well, drawn back, Chris, in the first writing was 3 acts.
Oh, really? You were officially 3 acts?
It was 3 acts.
Wow.
So the dream scene was a different stage set. And Jack Parkhurst, retired from Nebraska Wesleyan, said, Fred, it doesn't matter how long the second act is, people aren't going to come back. They think it's time to go home.
Yeah, that's
so.
That
Why
third
don't you
act is-
Why don't you rethink this? And it was at that point that that became a single scene opening the second act.
Yeah.
And I had to find a way to put it into the living room.
I think it's neat visually.
And then stage it in a way that the people doing the production can get the lifeguard chairs out of the way fast and put Blanche on the sofa where she should have been the whole time and get on with the play.
Yeah.
And it only occurred to me quite recently that I could help people cover that scene change by having the radio playing. That's brand new.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. The radio edition is new. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of using music in plays, not musicals, but I'm a big fan of it, and I'm glad to see more plays doing it more often.
What do you think it helps achieve?
I think it helps. I think it can, if done properly, it can help a lot with mood, for sure. Especially if you want to establish a mood going into a scene.
So that may be
Keeps the flow, I guess. Maybe.
That may be an interesting point where movies have informed stage plays.
Yes, I think so, in a positive way.
You're persuading me.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of it. Jamie, and of course we both know Jamie. Jamie's a big fan of using music, and
Jamie Bullens,
big fan, and does a nice job with using music in his stuff, I think.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for talking to us. It is so good to meet you.
You're welcome. It's
talk
my
about
pleasure.
all you've done, and then this new play. So.
Yes, the new play that's sort of
Drawn Back.
Called, the name of it is Drawn Back, and it's sort of looking for a home. Yes,
for sure.
Absolutely. So
out into the ether.
That's right, and just a good chance for us to talk to Fred in general. Because we had yet to get around to him.
Yes, for sure.
Even though I directed one of his things. Oh, we're so bad at self-promotion. So I'm so glad I got a chance to talk to you, because I felt like I kind of left all my...
It was a busy summer.
I know. I felt like I let everybody down, and I didn't talk to anybody for...
It's all good.
It's all good. My show for First Flight, I felt so bad.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Oh, no problem.
This is
Thank you
great.
very much.
It's been a joy.
Yes, thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you for listening and supporting the arts in the Platte River area and beyond. Please subscribe to our podcast so you are sure to catch all of our future episodes, and join us on social media. See you next time on the Platte River Bard.